Can you hear me, Barb?
I can hear you, Al.
Okay, I can't see you for some reason or other.
Yeah, I don't know. Uh,
Oh, flashed off and on. There you go.
okay.
Got
Uh,
you.
I don't have you though.
What am I supposed to do? It's different there.
I know. If you go in on the bottom, there should be mute and the mute and the stop video button. You should click onto that.
Start video.
Yeah, if you just kind of put your cursor on the bottom.
Got it.
There you go.
Yay! Why are we doing things different? I'm sorry.
Well, it's all consistent for Verinda since she's doing 13 boards. So yeah, I know she's got to bring you in differently, I guess now.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing about it is I didn't recognize her name,
Okay,
so I automatically ditched
deleted.
it.
Ditched it.
So she says I sent it to you 4 days ago. I think I better go look in trash.
Yeah. Tony said the same thing from Sunday, and I said, "Well, you have to look at it from that." So I think Verinda sent it again, I believe, after that. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, all of a sudden I see messages coming back and forth, and
Yeah.
from our guys, and
Uh,
they're saying they're logging in, they're saying various things, and I'm saying somehow I got left out of here, and I'm like, uh-oh, I think I better check.
Never. And we were working with an old list. She had somewhat of an old list too, which was my fault. So she had at one time had an old email, so we got that straightened out. So we're all set on that. So
Well, it's funny because when she mentioned going on to Outlook.
yeah,
I immediately went down to Outlook and I logged on to, set up Outlook because I never bothered.
right.
But it turns out you didn't have to, but
Yeah,
so now I have three different ways to get in emails now, I guess.
there you go.
Yeah, just what I need. I'm retired, right?
Really?
Yeah, you too. You're out the door. No, you're not.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah, I don't
holding
think
they're holding on tight.
not yet. Well, they're doing interviews, I believe, at the end of the month, which
You
is
know,
good.
my brother is on the verge of doing the same thing.
Yeah,
And when all through the years and everything, it was like, well, this guy got this, but he didn't get this, and this going on and everything else. Now he's ready to go. Suddenly he's the most favorite person around.
right. I know.
I know you know. It's funny. And you say to yourself, never mind, I won't make
I
my
know.
next statement. But I always like to tell everybody when you're in that position, any
Yeah,
point in time they tick you off, you thumb your nose and say, I'm out
yeah,
of here. Be nice to me.
yeah.
Look at me crossways.
Well, it's more so some of the. You're right. Mostly, it's sometimes it's the candidates because I still have a few of the ones that just annoy me, But like right now, it's like, what can I tell you? The ones that harp on you to get them licensed, and all of a sudden they go to New Jersey or New York, and and I have to be quick about it. I'm thinking to myself, we're not getting extra money to verify your license or do any of that, and you come in, use the state, and then move on, and then you don't come back for a while, and you're the first one griping that I didn't do something fast enough for you.
Yeah, right.
Then you go to the bottom of the pile. So.
Good morning, everyone.
Hi, Janita.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Morning, Ken.
Good morning. I don't know why, but I lost the screen. Oh, there we go. I'm back. I see Barbara, but she's not moving. There she is. She is moving. Okay.
Good morning.
Hey, Rob.
There we go, Tony.
Here's Verinda.
Rob? Rob?
Yeah.
I'm looking at this Michael Payne thing here.
Yep.
Are they all that extensive, every one that you get? So many pages, or just this one unique?
No, that I would say some of them are that extensive and even longer at times. But, I know we always talk about these foreign degree reviews and a quote unquote equivalence. This one was a little bit more than normal, but a little bit more deficient than normal.
Being the public member, I don't do this stuff, and I take it for granted how much work you guys do, and my hat's off to you. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah, there are a lot of pages. You're right. We try to get in a rhythm with a checklist. I don't know if you've seen the checklist. They definitely help out.
Oh, okay. No, I haven't paid attention to that, but I know what you're talking about. But
Ones I mail out, most of the time I go through it and don't copy all the pages, like the references and things like that. But yeah, the ones that they get on supplement are the ones that is the whole record. So
somehow I just lost you. You there?
me? Yeah.
I haven't touched anything. What happened?
We hear you.
Okay.
We can see you too, Al.
So you can't hide.
I can hear you. For some reason, I can't see you. My picture just dropped.
The only problem I have right now is that Curtis isn't blinking.
There you go. Oh, okay. Anybody talking, or everybody just being quiet?
I think we're just waiting for one or two more people.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm getting a little nervous that something else is dropping out here,
Oh, you're good, Al.
Oh, there's Mr. Dwarf.
Shall we get going? Are we ready?
Sure.
I think we got everybody here that's going to be here, right? So let's call the meeting to order. It's a little bit after 9:02. And I will call the roll. DeAndrea here. I don't see Bob Don yet. John DeWolf.
Here.
Bob Don will not be here today. Rob Lewandowski.
Here.
Ken Peterson.
Here.
Al Regina.
Here.
Curtis.
Here. I don't know if can you see me?
Well, we can see you. That's why I said it. We can see you. You're just not blinking.
Oh, yeah. It's my picture, I guess. Let me see if I can fix that. Okay.
And Richard Swizak.
Here.
All right. All present and accounted for. We I think the first thing I should say this morning is Verinda has mastered sending us more emails than we can keep track of. I like that. I think John Wolf summarized it. He says, I've never seen so many emails, but thank you anyway. Once we figured out the system, we I think we're in pretty good shape. Thank you for your thoroughness. The
Can I bring up something else I'm having problems with? And that is we used to get everything in Word documents, which meant I could have multiple ones up on my screen. They're all now in PDF, and I don't know how to get multiple ones up. So I can't have the agenda, the Zoom meeting, and say the minutes if I want to look at those. Is there a way to get everything on working? Because everything has changed and I'm having trouble. I can't hear you. Oh.
I don't think anybody's talked. Nothing?
I'll try to get by with what I've got.
Okay, I think we just dropped out here for some reason.
Yeah, John, she's trying to talk, but we can't hear her.
Yeah, I know. It's been a problem.
We'll just move along with it.
You have to have a whole bunch of young kids in your office that show you how to do those kind of things. So we've got these blue bean applications, and it's like all different kinds of stuff that, you know, us dinosaurs don't know about, but all the young kids do.
Or say I won't throw my computer 10 times.
I'll call my wife up and see if she wants to try to be my staff, but I don't think it would work.
Okay, this is Miss Birdsong. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
Board member DeWolf, I'm happy to send to you, based on how your computer is set up, the Word documents. But normally, and for all intents and purposes for all 14 boards, the documents will be sent in PDF. They are uploaded to the Secretary of State's office as well as the DCP in a PDF format, which is Adobe Acrobat. But I'm happy to
maybe
you. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. I'm happy to send to you in the MS Microsoft Office Word document if it's easier for you based on your software applications that are on your computer, so that you can open up those Word documents. Okay.
Let me play around with it and try to find out how I can keep with your system and have multiple documents.
I'm also able to do a tutorial.
Okay.
Let's pause for a moment. I'm happy to meet with each of you if you're having any computer issues. I'm pretty savvy in terms of different types of documents. And as I said to you, Mr. DeWolf, I did call you on yesterday. I didn't leave a voicemail, but I'm happy to meet with each of you personally and directly by phone and give you a tutorial and to assist you as a user in opening up the documents. One of the ways to refrain from multiple emails is that we also not reply all. If you have a personal user issue, please just send that communication to me. I will call you. I can arrange a meeting time to meet with you to assist you while we go through the transitional period of centralizing the board administration. Is that fair?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. So if we follow along on our regular agenda, we can start with our new business, and some of it is overlapping with surveying, but since this is an issue relative to a company that was not properly registered as an engineering corporation, I think we just have a small discussion about that. Richard Swezak took the initial email, so if you want to describe it, Richard, or do you just want to go with my summary, which is the company unknowingly, as they said, did not apply for the proper certificate of registration. So the question is whether or not they should pay the back fees, which I think is appropriate based on our other policy, and whether or not they should be in any way disciplined. My opinion would be that they should pay the back fees, get the proper registration, and there's really no discipline, in my opinion. We want them registered to document or to verify that they were qualified at the time that they performed the work. That's typical of what we've been doing with lapsed licenses for individuals. So is there any discussion other than that?
So I know you asked for legal's opinion on this, and my take's a little bit different here. And that the statute doesn't allow for back fees, right? There's no discussion of that in the statute. So here's what I was thinking. They need to register. The email chain, this needs to be forwarded to investigations to see exactly how long they were unregistered for and whether or not any disciplinary action is appropriate to come before the board. So I think it would be inappropriate for the board or commission rather to just decide right now. I think it does have to go through the proper channels of investigations. Investigations would then reach out to the company or the attorney in this matter from Vermont and find out how long they were unregistered, whether any discipline should move forward, and then that would go forward before the board to say, you owe X, Y, or Z. There is a potential for penalties of $500 per violation in the statute. So that's why I think that's the proper way for this to move forward. And I know Janita's on the line too, and I don't know if she had a chance to look at anything that was sent around, but Janita, this is an instance of an out-of-state attorney that contacted one of the board members saying that the company was unregistered, doesn't say for how long, but they've been unregistered, and now they'd like to rectify that. So that's my take on it, and I don't know what yours is, Janita.
Being that I haven't seen it and it would come as a new complaint to us to review and to be investigated, and that this is an open forum, this is really not the place for me to discuss a potential case that might come before this board.
Well, and so if
the board feels strongly enough with your guidance and discussion that they want to forward that complaint to investigations, forward that matter as to us to be investigated, then that should be the proper course.
I would take a different approach. The company, there's nothing we could say that would prohibit them from making an application to register. Is that agreed? Correct. So the advice I would make, from my standpoint, would be file an application for registration with the DCP. That's the first step. If you want to make it into an investigation, the fact is they want to become licensed, registered properly, and that's the first step that they should take.
Well, that's right. They need to do that first before they anything.
And once we get that, then all the rest that's been said here, we can address that later. Right now, we have nothing.
Right. So file an application so we can review it, and then we decide whether or not our regulations or statutes allow for assessment of fees. In the past, for what it's worth, when a company has been operating here in the state and not properly registered, then they should be assessed the fees. That's what we've been doing. If you want to change that policy, then let us know and we'll move forward in that regard. But that's what we've been doing for several years, many years.
Okay, so first step is to get them to apply.
Right, so the advice would be send them a letter saying that the first step you should take is to file an application for registration in the corporate entity of the way you operate. I don't know what that is, but that's what they should do. Then we'll review the application, and they should tell us in that cover letter how long it's been that they've been operating in the state of Connecticut, and they should list the projects that they have been working on as a corporation, similar to what we do with an individual. And I think that the important part here is that we recognize their abilities and qualifications during the period that they operated, so that they are responsible then for their work. That's the idea that we put forth on all these other reinstatement applications.
And I can reinforce that in terms of, I think that, I did have the discussion with the gentleman, and he did indicate that all the individuals that were signing and sealing drawings and, of their work were registered with the state of Connecticut. So basically they were registered as individuals, but they were not registered as a corporation. So right. That in reality, just by, having registered individuals signing and sealing drawings, that makes the drawings compliant. And the only thing that's missing is that the corporation wasn't registered. But in reality, you know, if they were working as individuals, then they would not need the corporation, but they were working under the umbrella of the corporation. So that, you know, in that sense, that the umbrella of the corporation, you know, was sort of protecting them from, you know, individual liability versus corporate liability. And I think that that's really the question, is that they did not have that protection from the corporate liability. They were individually liable for all the projects that they signed and sealed.
Correct. And I think that if you were the individual thinking that you were under the umbrella of the corporation and they weren't, then they would individually want to know that they were covered by the corporation. Therefore, it behooves the corporation to be properly registered, and we should evaluate that application when it comes in. All right. Any other discussion? So is there a motion to send a letter to the attorney advising his client to file an application for consideration by the board?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Al and Richard. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion to advise the attorney to recommend that his client file an application for corporate registration? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Okay, the next item on our regular agenda was a list of candidates who passed the CBT exams. There were just two, Budalette and Yakub, transportation and water resources. So I would have thought there would be a few more, but a couple is better than none. We do have, following our normal policy, if you will, some surveying applications that we tend to deal with early in the agenda. And I think we'll continue that process for now. And on page 4 of our regular agenda, we had four applicants, Bogerman, Kubik, Lobel, and Pike, reviewed by the land surveying members.
I've reviewed the applicants, and I'm in favor of allowing them to take the examination.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Who was that, Al?
Al.
Thank you, Al. Sometimes your screen doesn't light up long enough for me to see as I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve Class 8 exam for Bogerman, Kubik, Lobel, and Pike. Any discussion?
Yeah,
all those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Do we have a proper quorum there, everybody? And we got, who we got? Curtis?
Did Curtis have a question?
Yeah,
Curtis?
I did. I don't think he can hear me though. Does anybody hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. I don't know what's wrong with my video, but anyway, I just had a question on Kubik there, because the NCEES form, the problem with it is that at the beginning there it shows a summary, the engineering experience after EAC degree and so forth. It's the same form I'm sure the engineers see for engineering applications. The problem is, I think, that in the context of this, as you read further on, the experience that this individual has is evidenced by a lot of time in Nantucket and other locations under the jurisdiction of, under the direct supervision of licensed surveyors. At least they appear to be licensed surveyors, but they're in another state, so I can't be certain. But the summary shows no experience under licensed surveyor. Why is that, Barbara?
I don't know. I mean, that's how NCS had the record. You had the full file, so I don't know if NCS is missing something from that file, and we can double check with them on that.
Well, I scanned through, it looks to me like the surveyors he worked under, the guy in Nantucket, for example, I Googled him. He's retired now, but I believe he's a licensed surveyor. He ran a surveying business there for 30 years. So I think he was licensed, but I tried to go on the Massachusetts website to verify his licensure, but was unsuccessful doing that. So in summary, here's what I concluded. These NCEES summaries here really don't reflect, you know, what the applicant has done for experience. Are others finding the same thing?
You know, the only thing that I notice is that, you know, if there's not, you know, an entity who can verify their experience, they don't give them the credit of that experience because of the fact that it hasn't been verified by the person that they said they were working for.
Okay.
So a lot of times, you know, somebody will have, you know, 27 years of experience, but they're only allocated 15 years of experience because of the fact that they don't have documentation and verification that the other 12 years were under the person that they said they were, because it you know, so sometimes people, you know, businesses go out of business or entities go out of business, and, you know, people pass away, and, you know, they're no longer available for verification. And I know that I noticed that the NCEES just, if they can't verify it, they just ignore it, or they just don't include it as part of the discussion. And a lot of times it really doesn't matter, but sometimes it really does.
Well, moving forward, you know, and I've found this in the past with these NCEES summaries, you almost have to ignore the summary. You look at it and it shows, I mean, in this case, it shows of a total of 18 years total engineering experience, he only has 1 year, 8 months of surveying experience, and he has no experience under a licensed surveyor. If you look at the application, that doesn't make any sense with what the rest of the 46 pages shows. So I guess, is it fair to summarize then that we should just really disregard the summary on these NCEES applications and really just go to the heart of it, and like we did with our state of Connecticut applications?
Can I add a note?
Yeah.
I have an application for PE, and he's Canadian. It's all experience. It's 12 years, 4 months of total engineering experience. It's good experience. And when he put experience under licensed engineer, he put none. And I think what he was doing is that he didn't work under an engineer who was licensed in the US.
Oh,
so, I mean, his experience is great. So I didn't even pay attention to it till you brought this up, Curtis.
well, okay.
So
Unless I hear otherwise, I'm gonna ignore the summaries and just go to the meat of the application and go through it like I always have done, and go line by line and make sure, you know, I draw my own conclusions as to the summary.
Do you find this with the other NCEES records you found, or just in this one in particular? Okay.
No, it's all, this one in particular had none though for the surveying experience under a licensed surveyor, which is really unusual.
I was wondering is because he's also doing the engineering experience as well as the land surveying, because he once held, Bob Doan has his application on the PE side because his license lapsed in Connecticut. So he's going for the LS exam here in Connecticut, and he's reinstating his PE license. So I was just wondering if because of the dual licensing kind of aspect of it, that's maybe why they were missing the information. But if he felt uncomfortable, we could always ask him to give an update of his land surveying experience if you feel more comfortable with that.
No, I don't want to hold it up because he's got a lot of experience. Okay. And the fella in Nantucket who he worked for, if you Google him, he's been there for 30 something years. He must be a licensed surveyor, although I didn't have any luck on the Mass website. So yeah, no, I think we can move forward with Kubek and the other three.
Okay.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion then to approve Bogerman, Kubik, Lobel, and Pike, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. And there are a couple of land surveying issues on the corporate practice. We have a joint practice of landscape architecture, engineering, and surveying for JMC Site Development Consultants. So in our capacity, we would review the land surveying aspect of it. Did the surveyors have a chance to review that application? No.
Yes, I have.
But what was that?
I have reviewed it, and I would recommend approval.
This is Kurt. I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve the land surveying portion of the corporate practice of landscape architecture, engineering, and surveying, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. While we're at it, the engineering aspect of it for JMC Site Development Consultants, PLLC. So is this one that you reviewed, Brenda or Barbara?
I reviewed it. I reviewed all the applications.
Yes.
So as you can see, I showed all the ownership by all the different disciplines or professionals, and
Right.
they meet that requirement.
So we see that those are all appropriately apportioned.
Correct.
Was there a motion to approve the engineering component of the corporate practice?
So moved.
Thank you, John.
Second.
Thank you, Richard. All those in favor of the motion to approve JMC Site Development Consultants, PLLC for the corporate practice of engineering, landscape architecture, and surveying, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. And then, I don't believe we have any more land surveying issues on the agendas except for the minutes, which Miranda has prepared very thoroughly. If there is any suggestion for directions, I would accept them.
I would like to discuss page 5, first part of page 5, the top part.
Yes.
And this is, I think that it's well done. The problem is that it is saying that the policy of Connecticut requires exams be taken and passed and so on. And I think what has happened is that Belinda hasn't been brought up to where we are in that we do not accept waivers. And so I would like to make a couple suggestions if that's possible.
Yes.
Okay, page 5, fourth line. Third line, Mr. Swezak reminded the board, and then I would remove the statement of the policy that the state of Connecticut. So remove those words. So it would be reminded the board requires both exams be taken and passed, because it is not in the state regulations.
That's a good point.
That's duly noted. Just so you know, board member DeWolf, that's coming from the recorded transcript. Okay, so I will review the recorded transcript again for the verbiage, and I will duly note the correction.
Okay, and then in the last line of that paragraph, he was waived, I would add in Washington, in the state of Washington, because he wasn't waived here. So that would be the second thing. And then in the second paragraph, second line specifically states that Mr. Fast, and I would remove the statement does not meet the requirements for approval for licensure in the state of Connecticut, and instead just be denied. And then say, because he did not pass both exams, and stop the sentence. So the sentence I would recommend the sentence be changed. Motion specifically states that Mr. Fast be denied because he did not pass both exams, period. So I'm simplifying it.
So I will review the recorded transcript and then I will make the reduction if I think it's appropriate. It's duly noted.
Okay, thank you. And if you want to send it to me, I'll just verify, but it's up to you.
No, I don't need to do that under the regulations. It's recorded. Your corrections are noted. This is a transcript of the recorded transcript. I will review your corrections to the recorded transcript because that is the legal requirement under Robert Rules of Order.
And the only thing that I could add is that, you know, sometimes when we talk about the state of Connecticut, we're really talking about the state of Connecticut, you know, our board is implied. So it's not necessarily, you know, what the state of Connecticut itself, it's our, you know, the policy of our board of, you know, professional engineers and land surveyors.
Okay, so critically,
the Board of Examiners is implied. It doesn't necessarily state that, you know, it's the state of Connecticut, it's the state of Connecticut Board of Examiners of, you know, professional engineers and land surveyors.
Okay, critically, duly noted. Critically, when listening to the recorded transcript, one of the challenges that I have come across, not just with this board, is that when you're speaking across the boardroom, you're using verbiage and that verbiage is being captured in the minutes. So please speak definitively. If it is the way you want it stated, then that's the way you should state it. That's with motions under the Robert Rules of Order, as well as in making you know, definitive statements as to the board and that kind of thing. So I will re-review those portions of the recorded transcript, the verbiage that was used, and then I will make those abbreviations if appropriate for the minutes.
So, Brenda, I think what John is trying to point out is that we have been working, following advice of prior counsel to be consistent with our policy due to the lack of statutory enabling. Okay.
Okay, great.
So to try to be specific in your charge right now, I think we have to rework that sentence. Mr. Swisak reminded the board. Now we have to put in an action and we don't have it yet. Reminded the board what? What did the board get reminded of?
Okay.
So let's fill in the blank there. Reminded the board that our policy has been to require both exams.
Duly noted. Please state that definitively also when talking across the board.
Okay.
Duly noted.
In other words, you're telling us we shouldn't be speaking off the cuff and everything we say is going to be recorded?
No, I think it's critical in the transition process that as I'm coming aboard to learn each board, that you need to get me up to speed on the language, terminology, verbiage of the board. That's critical. So as a first run minutes, that should be expected. All has been duly noted. Okay, and will be revised as appropriate. Any other corrections?
Well, I would continue this discussion just for a few more moments here. I would think that sentence should read, Mr. Swisak reminded the board that the board's policy has been to require both exams to be taken and passed. Therefore, the applicant does not qualify for the state of Connecticut licensure.
Duly noted.
Okay.
Okay, now, are we in a position to accept these minutes as revised?
I would think they have to be reprinted and resubmitted.
Okay.
Would that be appropriate in your opinion?
Yes, under the Robert Rules of Order, you should actually make a definitive motion with that verbiage so that I can capture that.
If I may, then I will read it as I think it should be, and then we can have a discussion. So starting at the end of the third sentence in the first paragraph on page 5, Mr. Swisak reminded the board that the board's policy has been to require both exams to be taken and passed. Therefore, the applicant does not qualify for the state of Connecticut licensure. Duly noted.
Duly noted.
Okay. So the applicant does not qualify for the state of Connecticut licensure. He was waived in the state of Washington because he had more than 12 years of engineering experience. That's just a statement of fact at the end. Is there any discussion about that?
And then the second paragraph needs changing to be
correct. Then I think that what you said, John, I'll read it. Motion made by the board member Richard Swezak on the matter of Paul Alexander Fast. Motion specifically states that Mr. Fast be denied because he did not meet. He did not pass both exams as a state requirement of board policy.
Take out as a state requirement. So just stop after he'd be denied because he did not pass both exams, period.
Okay.
And then it's fine.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Richard.
Okay.
This is all excellent. Believe me when I tell you, everything that you're doing and saying is all duly noted. All things is being captured.
All right.
We need a second.
Is there a second to the motion to amend the minutes as presented?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Al. All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing that, motion carries. John, thank you for your attention to that detail. It's very important to our policy. Therefore, I guess the minutes stay open until presented at our next meeting.
October 4th.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other new or old business that would involve the surveying members of the board? If not, I would excuse the surveying members and thank you for your participation today. And we will continue with our regular agenda.
Okay, Tony. Thank you.
Thank you, Curtis.
Tony.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Ken.
Yep.
So we'll move now on to our regular agenda. The first applicant rather was Kenneth Fleming. I reviewed that application. He wants to take the first exam. Duly noted here that it's 21 years after graduation. So I would accept the recommendation to, a motion to accept my recommendation, excuse me, for Kenneth Fleming to permit class 1 exam.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, John. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Rob. All those in favor of the motion to approve Ken Fleming for class 1 exam, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. I also reviewed the next group of applicants: Cote, Critelli, Ford, Lee, Sahired, and Stickle. I would recommend approval of all of those. I would just point out one note. Let's see, what was it? So I had that covered. Okay. Yes, I would recommend approval of all 6 of those applicants, Cote through Stickle, on page 2 of our regular agenda. Each of them qualified education and experience following the degree. So motion to accept my recommendation.
So move.
Make that motion.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Rob. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Now I accepted Bob Doan's recommendations. He was unable to attend this morning as noted. He did a thorough review of the applicants, Buzzy, Presbycora, Wonderly, and Bentley. Contained on page 2 of 6 of our regular agenda. They were all three that he reviewed are model law engineers with current licenses in other jurisdictions. So is there a motion to accept his recommendation?
So move.
Thank you, John. Second,
Who made that second?
nobody yet. I will second it. Am I allowed to second it? Of course I am, right?
You can have my second if you want.
I heard Al's second.
Okay, I'll second it. All those in favor of the motion to approve Buzzy, Priscopa, and Wonderly for Class 4 reciprocity, say aye.
Can we back up here a little bit, Tony?
What's that?
We got to back up here a little bit to correct the tape. Okay, you're talking Bob Doan. I think you're talking Cormier, Grupa, and Suni.
Oh, excuse me. You know what? I skipped Bob Doan. I'm sorry. Thank you very much. I was reading my own recommendations there. Okay, back and forth I go. Here we go. Yeah, thanks, Al, for keeping me on target. I'm still a little under the weather. I was out last week with the COVID, so I'm a little bit sleepy yet. Okay, let's move. Cormier, Gupta, and Sony, reviewed by Bob Doan. Bob Doan reviewed those three and recommends approval. Is there a motion to accept this recommendation? I apologize for the confusion.
So moved.
Thank you, Richard. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Rob. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Now it's my section. I reviewed Buzzy, Prisopa, and Wonderly, and I apologize for mispronouncing the second name 3 different ways. But I did review all those 3 applicants. They're all model law engineers. They all have good experience, and they're all currently licensed in other jurisdiction. So is there a motion to accept my recommendation?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Rob.
Second.
Thank you, Richard. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Now, Rob Lewandowski reviewed Rebecca Bentley on page 2, and then Diendorf through Winton on page 3 for Class 4 reciprocity.
I'll be making a recommendation to approve them all, but before I do, they are all model law engineers with all good degrees, all good experience, with the exception of 3. David Goodridge is not a model law due to having a technical degree, but with 10 years of experience, he satisfies the experience requirements. Nabil Shamas is not a model law due to a foreign degree. Their foreign degree was evaluated by NCEES and deemed equivalent. And Wei Wang was also not a model law due to foreign degree. They were evaluated by NCEES and deemed equivalent. So 3 non-model laws, but all okay. Therefore, I recommend approval of all of them.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, John. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. All right, then John DeWolf reviewed Bonneville through Tripp for Class 4 reciprocity on page 3 of 6.
Okay, I have 5 non-model law. The first one, Bonneville, is fine. He has a Canadian degree, but it has been reviewed and it meets NCEES standard. So he's not a problem, but I've got 4 that are problems. Okay, the first, and so I'm going to go and do the 4 that aren't a problem one by one. Is that appropriate?
Yes.
Okay, so McGrady, he has a BS in math and physics from the College of Idaho. He has an MS in electric engineering from Boise State University. His MS has 61 credits, mostly in electrical engineering, and that's his area. Because he doesn't have a four-year engineering degree, my first inclination would be to deny him. But since he has so many credits in his master's, I'm wondering if the combination of the BS and the MS might pass NCEES standards. So my recommendation is that his 2 degrees be reviewed by NCEES to see how it compares to the model law requirement.
Is that a motion?
Yes, I'll make that a motion.
All right. Is there a second to the motion to request NCEES evaluation of the degrees? Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Thank you, Richard. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion to request NCEES evaluation of the Dane McGrady education, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries.
Okay, moving on to Quinlan. He has a BS in physics, Illinois State University, and an MS and ME, Mechanical Engineering, University of Illinois in Chicago. His BS is a normal physics undergrad degree, a science degree. His MS has only 12 courses, so he does not have the equivalent of a 4-year engineering degree. So I move that it be denied because he does not meet the board policy of having a 4-year engineering degree.
So a second to the motion to deny Kevin Quinlan due to a lack of qualifying engineering degree. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Al. All those in favor of the motion to deny Kevin Quinlan due to the lack of qualifying engineering degree?
Hey, Tony.
Yes.
Tony, before we do it, just one quick question. John, what's the difference between the two guys? Because really it was the same kind of degree setup with
McGrady. Yeah, because the first one, McGrady, has an MS with 61 credits, whereas the second one has the MS with 12 courses, which is like 33 credits. The second one is just a normal master's degree, no extra stuff. But the first one did go back and take a lot of undergraduate courses to get his MS.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Can I just say something? A lot of times when I do a denial letter, I basically tell them, because NCS looks at least 48 credit semester hours in engineering courses. So that's why I was wondering, when I do send the letter, send it to NCS, you're saying he has 61 credits. I'm sorry, I'm talking about McGrady. But NCS looks at least having 48 semester hours. So John, you would rather have NCS make that determination on how many credit hours he has in engineering courses?
I'm not sure I'm following. I just want them to be evaluated to see if he has enough undergraduate courses in his master's program to be equivalent to a 4-year program.
Okay. All right. Because I've been working.
McGrady, that's McGrady.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I know Quinlan does not meet the qualifications because of the.
I want to give him a chance to at least see how he.
Sure. Okay.
Because he did what we've asked for in the past. He got a master's where he went back and made up for the undergraduate degree. I don't know how much of it he made up for. I'm not in a position to evaluate it fully.
Okay. All righty.
So the motion is to deny Kevin Quinlan due to the lack of a qualifying engineering degree.
4-year engineering degree. Yep.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor of the motion to deny Kevin Quinlan, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries.
Okay, moving on. Schley, S-C-H-L-E-Y, has a BS in environmental science from the University of Maryland. He has an MS in earth science from Dartmouth. Neither of them are engineering degrees. His MS has 7 courses plus a thesis, and it's a normal MS in science. The BS, he started took more courses. He started in math and environmental science, and then partway through he switched to mechanical engineering and environmental science, and then he switched around. But he only has like 7 engineering courses in his BS. So I'm going to make the same motion as for Quinlan, that Shelley be denied for lack of a 4-year engineering degree.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Al. Any further discussion?
Mr.
Again,
Chairman, we did have someone who was attending anonymously who had their hand up, but they've left the meeting. Just FYI, noted for the record.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on the motion to deny Matthew Slay due to the lack of qualifying engineering curriculum? All those in favor of the motion to deny, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries.
Okay, moving on to Schmally. He has an associate's degree in air conditioning technology. It's not a engineering degree. He also, his New York license states under school that they gave him a license with the statement experience in lieu of formal education. He does not come anywhere near a 4-year engineering degree. So I move it be denied for lack of a 4-year engineering degree.
Is there a second to the motion to deny Philip Smalley due to lack of engineering degree? Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Richard. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion to deny Philip Smalley due to a lack of engineering degree, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. I think these were fairly clear-cut applications that were inconsistent with our policy that has been implemented for many years.
Okay, now I'm ready to go with the rest. So I will move approval for Bonneville, Kojhoken, Lamb, Lenderman, Romblad, and Tripp.
I'll second.
Thank you, John. Al. All those in favor of the motion to approve Bonneville, Kozokin, Lamb, Lenderman, Romblad, and Tripp, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Thank you, John. Very thorough. Richard, it's your turn. Anderson through Walmsley.
It's not as complicated as Mr. DeWolf's, but it's a little more convoluted than normal.
You're welcome.
It was interesting. I mean, it was fun to go through them in a way. I thought I was going to breeze through these class 4, but it didn't work that way.
Okay, I'll start off with Mr. Chaudhary. In terms of he's a non-degree or non-model law. He has a degree from India. He also has a master's from the University of Central Florida. And his review indicated that he was short 10 general education hours. So in our viewpoint, he would be acceptable as a candidate for licensing in the state of Connecticut. The second person that I reviewed is Dylan Gard. He's non-model law. He has a technical degree from the University of Maine. The unfortunate thing is that, you know, with a technical engineering degree, you need 7 years of experience. He only has 6 years, 9 months. So he's lacking 3 additional months of experience, so that, you know, he can either reapply or we can carry it over until he has 7 years of experience. Either or would work with me.
How close is he Richard? I
He's
mean,
6 years, 9 months. He's missing 3 months.
no, I know, but what's the date of the application? Maybe if you table it till next
Um,
month, you might have
No, I
the
think
3 months.
let me take a look at that. Dillard.
You hate sending a denial when in another 3 months.
No, the date of his application is July 18th.
So he's 2 months shy.
Well, yeah, 2.5
in theory.
months. Yeah. So he's still got a couple months to go.
Well, we don't meet again until October 4th, so it should qualify by then.
Right. So if we want to just carry him over till the next meeting, I think that, you know, as long as he's continually working, he should be
Right.
fine.
That's a good suggestion. Just
Motion to table.
we have to have him update his application. Barbara?
Yes, so you
Yeah,
can.
just tell him to update the application through the October meeting.
Okay.
And you could approve subject to the receipt of the updated application.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay. Yep.
The next individual is Dev Srinivas. He has a degree from SUNY Buffalo, a BSCE, and he graduated in 2018. He also has a master's in civil engineering from Columbia that he graduated in 2020. And unfortunately, what happens is he has 3 years and 4 months of experience, but his experience is, you know, during the same time that he said he got his master's. In our regulations indicate that we can add a year of experience for a master's if it's a master's in residence. But, you know, obviously if he was working full time, he wasn't in residence. So that, you know, you can't double dip, I guess, you know, using, you know, a master's to add a year if you're working that same time that you're, you know, using your experience. So in reality, he has that, he didn't, his last year of experience was actually last July, I believe. Yeah, August. He has experience from August 2021, but he has no additional experience after August 2021. So had he been working for the past year, he would have been fine. But because of the fact that he has no, or whatever we received didn't indicate that he had, you know, any experience after August 2021. And so, you know, so he's missing that, you know.
So that was Dev,
whatever.
Richard, that was Dev Srinivas?
Correct.
Okay, so what you're saying, I believe, is that he doesn't have sufficient experience.
Correct.
Following his degree. So he has to update his application at best. So that also has to be tabled.
Correct.
I would just deny it because he doesn't have the experience in this case.
Well, you know, the thing is, I'm not sure, because when I look at that synopsis page that, you know, Ken was talking about earlier, it says that he has 4 years of experience, but then when I look at his experience log, he worked at 2 different firms for 1 year, 7 months in each firm. So that only brings him up to 3 years and 4 months.
So let him reapply with the proper experience. I don't see why, I mean, that isn't it easiest just to deny it, and because he lacks 3 years of experience?
Right. Well, he needs 4 years experience because again, you
well,
can't.
He only needs 3 with the master's.
Well, if the master's is in residence.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, but he has to have 3 years of experience in addition to the master's. How's that?
Well, he would have that in terms of he would have that 3 years of experience in addition to the master's because, but our regulations say that you get the year of experience if you take the master's in residence, so that you're not working at the same time that
you can do a master's part-time. If you're working full-time and do a master's part-time, then you only need 3 years of experience.
Yeah, but he got his master's, you know, within like 2 years, and so that means that he was working.
If he was only working on the master's, I can see that he should be denied. But if he was working full-time for over 3 years and has a master's, and he did in the evenings, then I think that's
Well,
okay.
well, the thing is, when I look at his his master's says that he was taking, again, I don't know how he did it, but in the fall of, let me see, 2018, he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 courses, or 4 courses. And he had a year, and he said he was working, at the same time. So he had 4 courses, and he was working full time at the same time.
It sounds like he had 4 courses. He was a full-time student.
So he wouldn't get the year of experience. So then he would be missing.
Right. I see where you are. I agree.
He'd be missing a year of experience.
Right.
Yeah. I wouldn't count that year of experience.
Correct.
So let's take that motion separately then, Richard, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So
I'll make the motion that we, deny Dev Srinivas, and, again, due to the fact that he's lacking the experience required, the 4 years of experience, and unless he had been working since August 2021, that wasn't included in our packet.
let's say so it's a denial based on the lack of experience.
Correct.
If you want to advise him, he doesn't. There's a gap in the experience record.
Correct.
So denial based on a lack of experience following the degree and a gap in the experience record. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Thank you, John. All those in favor of the motion to deny Deb Srivinis due to a lack of experience following the degree and a gap in the engineering experience. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries.
Excuse me, Richard, you said 3 years and 4 months, right?
Correct.
That you came up with? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yes, in terms of, it was two.
Oh,
He
what's
worked
on
in
the
2
app?
firms for 1 year, 7 months in each firm.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so where does that leave us now, Richard? We got
We should take guard separate, shouldn't we? Because there's a proviso on that.
Yes,
Update the experience.
yes. So why don't we take guard separate, that, we will, I guess carry his application over to the next meeting where he would, have adequate experience.
which one was that now?
Dylan Guard.
Oh, Dylan Guard, right.
Right. We're going to hold it over the next meeting. He's got to upgrade his experience.
Right.
So you want to make a motion to table?
Yeah, table it till he has, and then again, right now I say he needs 3 more months of experience. So, basically that would be 2. So maybe we would have to hold it over till December. If our next meeting is October, then we miss out November, and it might be December that he would have adequate experience.
Okay, so there's a motion to table Dylan Guard and advise him that he has a lack of experience following the degree. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Rob. All those in favor of the motion to table Dylan Guard due to a lack of experience following the degree. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries.
And then for the remainder, of the applicants, I'll make a motion that we approve their applications with the little caveat that Daniel Smith, he was initially registered in Ohio, and he let his Ohio registration expire in 2002. He is model law, but I didn't get any other, verifications from any other states that he was licensed in that particular state. So if we can verify that he was licensed in another state continuously since 2002, then he would be acceptable.
Okay.
And what was the name there?
Daniel Smith.
Right, subject to verification.
Right, because he is licensed in I believe Arizona, Illinois, and Michigan, but I didn't get any other verification.
Okay, so the motion is to approve Anderson, Chowdhury, Cotton, Kilduff, Shelter, Smith, Stuber, and Walmsley for reciprocity, subject to verification of Daniel Smith.
Correct.
Is there a second to the motion by Richard?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Rob. All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Okay, that leads us to the next group of applicants for Class 4 reciprocity that were reviewed by Bob Doan. Excuse me. So he recommends approval for the entire group from Collins to Loic or Locke. Is there a motion to accept his recommendation?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, John. Second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Rob. All those in favor of the motion to approve Collins through Locke on page 3 of our regular agenda, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Moving on to our page 4, we took care of the land surveying items under Class 8, and we have a group of applicants for Class 9 license. Big Allball, something like Bigaball through Waters for Class 9 license. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Richard. Second? Is there a second? Thank you, Rob. All those in favor of the motion to approve Bigaball through Waters for Class 9 license, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Now, Barbara has reviewed the next group of applicants for the corporate practice of professional engineering. R.W. Clayco Design Engineering, PC, Halam Associates, Inc., and PVE, LLC. Is there a motion to accept Barbara's review and recommendation as being in order?
So moved.
Thank you, Richard. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Who was that, Al?
Yep.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing on that, motion carries. So now we have an application for the joint practice of professional engineering and architecture, which Barbara has found to be in order. Is there a motion to accept the recommendation for BSA Life Structures LLC?
So move.
Thank you, John.
Second.
Thank you, Richard. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries, and that moves on then to the architecture board. And continuing on our regular agenda, I didn't miss anything. We're down to one reinstatement request. Excuse me. Bob Doan reviewed that application for Patrick Van Cleek. And he recommends approval for reinstatement of the license, who has been continuously licensed in another state and has not signed or sealed any documents in Connecticut. Is there a motion to accept Robert's recommendation to approve the reinstatement?
So move.
Thank you, John. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Rob. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. And that brings us over to our supplemental agenda number 1.
Hey, Tony,
Yes, sir.
before we go there, at the bottom of the meeting minutes, it says current board meeting schedule October 6th. It's October 4th, right?
Yes, I've corrected that already. Who's speaking? Okay. Mr. Lewandowski? Yes, I've corrected that already.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I didn't have it wrong in my calendar.
Very good. Okay, thank you, Rob. All right, so we move to our supplemental agenda. And our first applicant for Class 1 Credit Part 1 was Lindsay Zariski. This was an interesting one in that Lindsay was a military spouse, as she points out. And while she was stationed all over the world, she did not do all of her engineering. However, she did pass her fundamentals, and now she wants to take her exam for the PE. So while her degree was from Clemson back in 2001, she had sparse engineering experience in the interim. She's now working for the Groton Public Works Department, doing a variety of engineering. So my recommendation, quite honestly, is to test her abilities and allow for the exam. 21 years later.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Al. Thank you, John. All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. We also reviewed the next applicant for Class 4 reciprocity, Robert Cisneros, a degree from Cornell at 87. He's a structural engineer. He's actively licensed in New York through February of 23. So my recommendation is to approve. So a motion to accept my recommendation.
So
I'll make them.
Thank you, Rob. Yeah. Thank you, Richard.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion to approve, Robert?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. That's not clear. What's the motion exactly? And who first, who motioned and who seconded?
Rob Lewandowski moved and Richard seconded. My recommendation was to approve. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve Robert Cisneros for Class 4 reciprocity, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Next group of applicants, Basden and Evans, John DeWolf, reviewed for Class 4 reciprocity.
I move approval.
I'll second.
Was that Al?
Yep.
All those in favor of the motion to approve Basden and Evans, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Richard Swezak reviewed Robertson, Snyder, and Varel for Class 4 reciprocity.
I'll make a motion that we approve the 3 applications with the verification that Varel, his license in Massachusetts expired in June 2022. So just the fact that he's still active.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Rob. All those in favor of the motion to approve Robertson, Snyder, and Varel, subject to verification of Varel, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. And Rob Lewandowski reviewed Nava, Osmond, and Pang for Class 4 reciprocity.
I want to take them a little bit separately. Nava and Osmond, I want to take separately. They're both model law, good experience, good degrees. I recommend approval of them both.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Richard. All those in favor of the motion to approve Nava and Osmond, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. And that leaves us with Michael Pang.
Yeah, Michael Pang is non-model law due to a foreign degree. BSEE, electronics and electrical, University of Salford. It was reviewed. The first thing that caught my attention, Tony, was normally everything's reviewed by NCES. And this is the first time I've seen the Center for Professional Engineering Education Services, an affiliate of NCES. So is that just my luck? That's the first time I've seen it, or are we okay with that agency?
If I could say, that used to be the agency that was approved by NCS prior to that. So they're an okay agency to be reviewing the education. We've had them before.
Okay.
You just happen to get one that was, it was done a while ago. So, but that was approved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So they reviewed his degree, and it was determined to be deficient. And the deficient was 18 semester credit hours in mathematics and basic science. This is what I forwarded to everybody on the email.
Right.
I forwarded the 3 pages from the review. And then 16 credit hours in humanities and social science. So looking at the math and science, specified criteria hours, 32 hours, he has 14. For whatever reason in the package, they threw the engineering and surveying section in there showing required 48 hours and earned 54. So he's not deficient in that area. The deficiency is in math and science, 32 credit hours required, 14 hours achieved. I think it's too deficient.
Right. That's the question. The degree of the deficiency. Normally, we've let a couple of courses, but this is a big chunk, so it varies from our normal policy.
I mean, a lot of times when these are reviewed and they're deficient by 6 credit hours, but they have an extra 20 credit hours in engineering or something,
right.
And but I just think it's too much. I don't know what anybody else's opinion on it is.
Where is his degree from again?
University of Salford, which it says it's Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
Maybe he's had that stuff before his degree. That often happens, but
it did mention that on page 2. It says graduates, third paragraph, graduates of programs which the Engineering Council designates as 3-year are eligible for recognition under the Washington Accord. Next paragraph down, admission into universities in Great Britain and Northern Ireland require completion of 13 years of primary and secondary education. So like you said, maybe there's an extra year in there of something that's more recognizable, at the college level, but it's just not on the review.
I've noticed many foreign degrees are shorter, and that's because they get their preparation, particularly in the social sciences and stuff, prior to the university degree. I would be inclined to let it go. To approve it.
I mean, he's licensed in Massachusetts and Rhode Island currently.
We could ask him about it if you want. You could ask him to explain why he does not have as much science or math and science.
Yeah, I mean, it very well could be in that 13th year, but like I said, it just wasn't in the application.
I tend to go with John right now too, and let it go, because he's licensed in Massachusetts and Rhode Island. He did take the exams, so if he's passed the exams and he's actively working, what's his experience then, Rob?
21 years of experience. The experience is okay.
Right, it's good.
Yeah. It was just the 4-year engineering degree. threshold.
My inclination is to let it go.
Yeah, I would say the same. I think if he didn't have the engineering courses, I'd be much more concerned.
Good. And you saw that there was 0 deficiencies in those 2 categories.
Correct.
Right. So,
Yeah, it was just the math and science and what they call it, humanities and social science.
It could be the science courses which he's had as an before he got to the university. I wouldn't be too concerned.
all right. Is there a motion?
So I guess the motion is approved based on the
Solid experience and engineering curriculum, solid.
yeah, and the math and basic science being achieved in the 13th year prior.
Right. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
All those in favor of the motion to approve Michael Pang or reciprocity, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. And the last applicant, Christopher Prochner, was reviewed by Bob Doan, and his recommendation is to approve the applicant for Class 4 reciprocity. Is there a motion to accept the recommendation?
So moved.
Oh,
Thank you, Richard.
Rich. Rich, it's
Your
your
second. Thank you, John.
Okay.
All those in favor of the motion to approve Christopher Prochner for Class 4 reciprocity, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Therefore, the motion carries. And Bob Doan reviewed the last applicant for reinstatement. I believe that Bob was a little bit confused initially as to whether or not the applicant was applying for a comedy reciprocity or a reinstatement, but it appears that he's actually applying for reinstatement. Is that agree? Is that correct?
Correct. Correct.
So he sent a second email saying that he agreed and would recommend approval for the reinstatement of Joel Kubik. Is there a motion to accept his recommendation?
So moved.
Thank you, John. Or Al, excuse me. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Rob. All those in favor of the motion to reinstate Joel Kubik, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. And I believe that covers all of our agenda items, unless there are any new business or other.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Al.
Second, if he needs one, but I don't know.
We always need a second, otherwise Verinda won't know what to put in the minutes. So it was moved and seconded by Albergina and Richard Swezak that we adjourn. It's now 10:22. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Chairman, I'd like you to stay on, please. Chairman, I'd like you to stay on for a moment.
Okay.
I make a motion
you,
to
everyone.
get some rest.
Yeah, I got rest for 5 days. Boy, tires you out.
Yeah.
But I'm back.
Well,
Take care.
Back.
Bye.
all right.
Take care.
goodbye.
See you later.
Thanks, everybody.
Get well.
Enjoy the rest of summer.
Yep, thank you. See you in October.